Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Maurice D, LaGrone, and I'm going to kind of make this quick. I don't want to talk your ear off, but this is going to be my review for The Last of Us Season 1. I'm a huge fan of the original game. I kind of usually play The Last of Us Remastered, not Part 1. Part 2, I know people have their different opinions, but I do still really love it. But we are here for the TV show, so let's get into that. I kind of just want to dive straight into Episode 1. I'm just really thinking there was a lot of things they mixed up. I mean, for one, the zombie kind of has the cordyceps coming out of their mouth, which you don't really see in the video game. Also, we got to spend a lot more time with Sarah, and that was beautiful, played by Nico Parker. Amazing. The death scene hit just as hard for me. I loved how the first episode and the second episode really set a tone at the beginning of those episodes when it comes to the gravity of what's about to happen to the world. In the first one, it's way before anything even happened, and he's just saying, look, you laugh, but fungi. And then episode 2, when she really gets a look, the scientist, and she's like, bomb, bomb everything. Man. After that, we find Joel just broken in Boston, and the picture they painted there is amazing. He's an alcoholic, and he just does not know how to hold himself together. He doesn't know where his brother is, and then suddenly we're introduced to Bella killing it off the bat as our Ellie. She's just giving it to us, selling it naturally. Marlene, same actress as the video game, beautiful. And then suddenly these two unlikely people go together with Tess. And let's just dive into episode 2. After saying, of course, that the very ending when Pedro snapped and Bella Ramsey's character, Ellie, sees and is triggered by that was different than the Ellie you get in the video game, but I think sets her on a course that's going to make a lot of sense, especially for you people who know what's going to happen in part 2. Now, in the second episode, we finally get to step outside and see the world, and it looks like the video game, and it's just amazing. In this episode, we do see Joel with a lot of walls up. Tess, she does seem to care for him, but he does not want to indulge in that. He does not want to get hurt even more or end up hurting her or having to if she gets turned. And that's exactly what's going to happen by the end of this episode. And we do see him try to have a solemn goodbye. And that was even bigger than the game with the explosion and the kiss from the infected. Really set a sad tone, which takes us into episode 3, my favorite episode of the season. You do not get to see Bill like this in the game. You don't even get to see Frank, but you spend a lifetime with them in this, and it is heartbreaking, to say the least. I mean, yes, they won in this broken world, but winning still is kind of bullshit. If I can say. I mean, man, those actors sold it. I actually went into White Lotus to see the actor for Frank, just a different role so I can explore his discography and get to know him a little bit. Man, Ron Swanson brought some levels to that character I didn't even know he can bring to the screen. Beautiful. And then by the end, you see Joel see the letter about keep Tess safe, and he knows that's what he has to do for Ellie in a way. By the end of that, great job, which takes us into episode 4. Episode 4, we got the pun book. Though it was one of the more contextual episodes, it was a bit slower. And though we got to see Ellie try to kill somebody for the first time, and they gave him a name, and by the end he's like, mom, like screaming for his mom. That was such a great choice. I do love that Craig Mazin was a part of this. I think a lot of these changes, are because of him. I mean, I know that Neil Druckmann still had that creative hand in when it comes to certain changes, but I think Craig Mazin was the perfect person for the job when it comes to this show. I'm very excited for season 2. Moving past that, we're in episode 5, where we catch up with Henry and Sam all the way up to where Joel and Ellie are, and Joel isn't even able to hear them come after sharing that moment with Ellie, laughing at diarrhea is hereditary, it runs in your genes, and we kind of see him break that wall down a little bit. So by the time Henry and Sam catch up, after we realize Sam is deaf, which is a great choice, after we realize the doctor who got shot in episode 4 was the one that was helping them in the attic in episode 5, and he didn't come back, so they had to do something on their own, you quickly realize that Henry is not built like Joel, in the sense that he kind of still needs someone that can lead him through this, but that's what he has to do for Sam. Unfortunately, beautifully displayed. And all four of them getting to grow together throughout episode 5 was just great to see, especially because now we got to see Ellie a little maternal, like a big sister. And for me, I liked that because I didn't know exactly where they were going to go with her cynicism, but it just kind of showed that she still has that loving core that we love in Ellie, you know. With that being said, when she made the choice to cut herself and try to rub it on his wound to heal him, you know, it broke me a little bit. And exactly like the game, Sam was a zombie in the morning, and it didn't end well. Henry made the same choice he did in the video game, which is a very sad choice. And Ellie's reaction to that was, honestly, it was a tiny moment, but it was one of my favorite parts of her performance throughout the series. That set a tone for the both of them moving forward. And I remember by the end of that week, my heart wasn't whole until we got to see what happens next, which brings us to episode 6. Oh, and by the way, the street scene with all the zombies coming out and the bloater was fantastic. It was actually one of the first times, if not the first time, we saw a kid zombie, which was great. I do think the concept they introduced in episode 2 about stepping on a certain thing and signaling the others wasn't completely explored in this season, but I have faith that we're going to wrap back around to that, because there was a lot of things they wrapped back around to, and I think it was it's a pacing thing, so I'm ready for it. All right, so by episode 6, we are on our way to Tommy's, and the couple introduced at the beginning of that, they were very cute, they were adorable, and they were a helping hand, which was awesome. It's great to kind of meet a companion. They were pretty standoffish, not considered friends, but they weren't raiders, so that was awesome. And seeing the giant water dam in the video game was dope. You didn't have to explore it, just seeing it was awesome. And then when Joel finally sees Tommy, and the way he says it and the way they embrace is so heartfelt, that it inspired me to want to call my brother. I'm just kidding, I don't have a brother. But anyways, that didn't last too long, that feeling, because they see things differently. And Maria knows of Joel's past, and Ellie doesn't necessarily, but she stands by him. And there's a lot of that clashing where you just know, like, it just shows that there's still some growing to do on all sides. And there is going to be growing as far as Tommy's family. He is now married and he's going to have a child. Joel, broken by that, this episode where he's broken and having those anxiety attacks was really real. And thinking he sees his daughter in the distance was such a trip, but was so beautiful. Pedro Pascal's performance when he's like, I'm just gonna get her killed. You gotta take her, Tommy. Like, oh my gosh, boom, boom. And then look, we're on our way. He thinks he's gonna let Ellie go, but he just can't. And so they're going, but we all know what happens, which is raiders come, Broken Bat impales Joel, and he's down for an episode, which brings us to episode 7. By the way, I love that the girl singing by the end of that episode was Craig Mazin's daughter. So awesome. Episode 7, our Left Behind episode. This is when Ellie and Riley explore the mall. This is our DLC. This is where we figure out how Ellie got to Fedra. It's not a pretty story. It's actually a beautiful story with a very tragic end. And again, they did this one just right. Both actresses in that episode killed it. The only two things that were not in it was them throwing bricks and spraying each other with water guns, which kind of makes sense. You already turn on all the lights. Don't throw a bunch of bricks and make a lot of noise. And if you're in the apocalypse, you need water, so let's not just waste it, you know? Kind of makes sense. Everything else was there. Everything else was cool. We had the masks, we had the Halloween store, we had the dancing, we had the bites, and then let's lose our minds together. I didn't know that Ellie had to kill her. I guess I should have assumed that. Great episode. Great episode. Episode 8. Episode with David. Episode with the cannibals and the religion and all the twisted lies being told and manipulative nature of certain people while Joel is finding his power, like I was at the beginning of this, really, you know? But he doesn't get to her in time, and she made do. Of course she did. We had Troy Baker in this episode. It was great to see our Joel on screen. A lot of it was pretty verbatim, except for, again, the religion part and oppressing their people in certain ways. I think it all played so well, though, and I do like that Joel got to her a little late and she was able to be a bit independent and kind of walk out of it. Though it scarred her, it showed a lot of strength for Ellie's character. Which brings us to episode 9, the finale. Starting out with Ashley Johnson, Ellie, and that pregnancy was melted and put back together, seeing Marlene's strength after almost not being able to take the baby and do what she had to do, which is kill her best friend so she doesn't turn into a monster, set a tone for her, which wrapped back around to the end because she was still willing to do what she had to do to save the world, potentially. But Joel's so broken that he is not the same person, and he could not lose his little girl again. And he almost did, and so by the beginning of the episode, he sees that changed her. What happened with David. He tries everything to cheer her up. We see the RV from the video game, and she's even non-responsive. They talk about the guitar all the way up until she drops the ladder. She sees the giraffes, which is that gleam of hope for her as a child. And let me tell you this, it was done perfectly. It was done perfectly. I think the only thing that was different is in the video game, you have the choice to stand there forever if you want to while looking at the giraffes. But no, Ellie says, let's go. And she makes that choice, because I know Joel would have stood there forever if he could. Ooh. The suicide story. The story on how Joel got a scar took me by surprise, and it was, again, very grounded and very great for the narrative and added so much context for the relationship and how they grow together and are growing together. They pretty much told each other they loved each other in that scene, and of course the happiness ended too soon. Flash bang, knock in the back of the head, you're in the hospital with the fireflies, and Joel cannot get to Ellie. Cordyceps grow in the brain, and Ellie has a mutation that the fireflies think may benefit the world. Joel's not about it, and so he acts on it. He disassociates, and he gets the job done. I've killed all those people in the video game, but once you take your hands off the sticks, you feel it that much more. It was done great. The music choice was fantastic. The bland face on just doing everything he had to do, like their NPCs, was crazy. I know we had Laura Bailey as one of the nurses. That's awesome. R.I.P. Doc. That's gonna come back around. Dude with the scalpel, ready to take down Joel. That's gonna come back around. But they got out, and Ellie's not completely happy with that. Now she feels like, what is she supposed to do with her life? And I think she knows that Joel's lying. What are we supposed to do from here? Just go back? Like, it's a beautiful ending. A beautiful, beautiful ending. And much like House of the Dragon on HBO, I'm ready for season 2, even though I know we're going to wait a while. But take your guys' time, because time and hard work creates what I just saw, and what I just saw is a masterpiece. Last of Us season 1 gets a 10 out of 10 from a Last of Us major fan. My best friend wishes there were more zombies. I guess they already promised that there will be in the next season, so I'm excited to see that. But I do know the ones that I did see, the bloaters, the hunters, the clickers, looked fantastic. Great job, Craig Mazin. Great job, Neil Druckmann, and the cast of crew of HBO's The Last of Us. You have a fan in me, and I'm ready for season 2. Have a great day. Let me know what you think down below. Please do not forget to subscribe and hit the bell if you want to keep up for more. Endure and survive. Peace.